Today, today I'll be talking about an art form called tessellations. And what a tessellation is a pattern or a sequence that is repeated, whether it be on a sheet of paper or on a wall, anything like that. It's just a repeating pattern, a repeating shape that forms something like the way it looks. And so what this is, I have an example here, is so this shape here is on here, and it repeats and sort of interlocks with each of itself. So I'll show you later, but basically the way you make it is you just trace it over and over again. But obviously that's difficult, so there's a way that you can make it a shape so that you can trace it over and over again. And I'll show you how to do that right now. So, normally you can use any size sheet of paper, and what I just use is a 5x5. And then, so this is what I'm going to put the pattern on. And what I have starting off with is just half of a sticky note. That's all I have. That's all I use to make the pattern. And since I just wanted to do a small example. So the first step, you first draw the line from the left side of the paper to the right side of the paper. And then what you're going to do is cut that. You're going to cut it into two pieces. And then what you're going to want to do next to form a unique pattern, instead of just like cutting them and putting them back together, doesn't really make any sense. So what you're going to want to do is flip them around like this. So I'm going to have the bottom piece on the top now, the top on the bottom. And it forms a different kind of shape. So I have that here. It's the exact same thing. And what you're going to want to do next is take these pieces, line them up, and draw a line from the top to the bottom, or the bottom to the top. And then you're going to want to cut that. So I'll do that right now. Okay, so now it's been split into two pieces, like this. And this basically is this top piece. It's the same. It's just split into another two pieces. And so you're going to do this with the bottom piece, right where you drew the line. Alright. So now we're going to place those pieces back in place. And I'll show you in a second. Okay. So now we have these four pieces. And they form this shape. Still, they form it. And so what you're going to do, and this is the final step to make your unique pattern. And what you're going to do, you're going to take this piece, move it over here. You're going to take this piece and move it over here. Then you're going to push these together and match up all the corners, basically. And what you're going to get is a unique shape. And so obviously it's not perfect, but I do my best. And so that's your unique shape. And so what you're going to do is just put a piece of tape down the middle, and what you're going to get is this object. So I've made another one. And now you just tape, I only use one piece of tape so that it stays in place. And then to make the actual pattern, you get your sheet of paper, your 5x5, and you just trace it. And that's all I'm going to do, is trace it. It does not matter where you trace it on the sheet of paper. You can trace it in this corner. You can trace it in the center of the page. For right now, I'm just going to trace it in the center of the page. And I'll show you how you just do it, because you just keep repeating the pattern, and eventually when the page is filled up, you'll see the repeating pattern and how they fit in. It's such a cool quick trace. Let's see. Almost done. Alright. And so now that is this shape right here. And so what you're going to do is just bring this over here, and you see how it matches up. So the bottom of this matches up to the top of this. And then, for example, the top of this matches up to the bottom of that. And then vice versa, the left side of the piece of paper here matches up with the right side of the pattern. Left side of the paper matches up with the left side of the pattern on the paper. And so what you do is just you keep repeating this. So you put it here, and you're going to trace it. You're going to put it here. You're going to trace it. You're going to put it here. You're going to trace it. You're going to put it here, and you're going to trace it, and you're going to trace it, and trace it, and trace it. And eventually what you're going to come out with is this. And so you notice how here. And then even like this small cutout piece here, that's part of it. That's the rest of it. It's like a whole new section right there. It's a new one. It's a new pattern. And so tessellations were really like understood and created in the 14th century in Spain, where architecture was very big, and they used it for an aesthetic appeal. And I mean, the tessellations had been used out through centuries and centuries, but it really started taking form in the 14th century when architects really took a keen eye towards it, and it turned out to be like a really interesting artwork. And the reason I chose to learn how to do it was because I've always been into art, and I've always wanted to do architecture, and I've just always been interested in the aesthetic of it. So just being able to make something like this, and it's super simple. There's like 5 steps to it. And the most difficult part is just getting the tracing down. But other than that, like, I mean, it's a very unique art form, and it's super simple because it's just repeating patterns, but it still brings an aesthetic that like not a lot of other art forms can bring. So, thank you guys.